Hi, welcome to my Yo-Yo AMSR video. Hey, welcome to PopCast, a crowd-sponsored yo-yo show. My name is Dr. Popular. I am a professional yo-yoer in San Francisco, and it's rainy outside, so I'm doing this episode inside with my TikTok lights on and my bed sheet hanging from there's Christmas light. Hey, thank you for watching. So this episode of PopCast, I am going to do an interview with the folks from Freshly Dirty about Mod 44, this modular yo-yo system where you can take off, you know what modular means. Not like a synthesizer. That would be cool. I want to see a yo-yo with wires, somebody like just... and knobs everywhere, like mostly knob. Aside from the interview, we're also going to talk about a concept called sabering, which is a fun way that you can set up for a bind. You can set up branding. You can do all sorts of stuff. Sabering is a really simple, super simple technique that I think once you learn it, you can throw into just about anything. But before I talk about that concept and the interview, I wanted to give a huge shout out to Andrew Cassidy and all the rest of my backers over on patreon.com/docpop. I have a bunch of new patrons this month. Huge shout out to Alexander Ramos, Jim Honecker, and Nick DeFate. Thank you all so much for sponsoring the show. And, you know, not just that, but also sharing comments and advice. One bit of advice that I got from a Patreon backer was to start using YouTube annotations. So at the bottom of YouTube videos, you can, in the descriptions, you can write timelines and kind of put little notes. And someone said, hey, for your podcast videos, you should do that. You should say, here's the part where I ramble in front of a microphone about things. And then here's the part where I teach the trick, so they can skip to that part, I guess. And after they did that, I went through on my last PopCast episode. I broke it up into chapters, is what YouTube calls them. And then I posted a trick on YouTube called Lighter Than Air. In that video, it's basically a combo, right? Because tricks are kind of just like tricks built on tops of other tricks or whatever. So in that video, I used YouTube annotations to split up each and every part of that trick, from like the trapeze to like curling to orbital decay. Anyway, I'm hooked on annotations, and hopefully I'm not too lazy to do it with this video. But if you look at the description for this video on YouTube, you should see the chapters broken up. If you're posting tricks on YouTube, maybe use annotations. It's kind of a hack, but you can use annotations to kind of show each element in like a little... Okay. Thanks to my Patreon sponsors for that idea and for your support. Now let's talk about sabering. So today's concept is going to be sabering. Sabering is named after a method of opening a wine bottle by using your saber or your sword. It was kind of popularized by Napoleon's army, blah, blah, blah. We're going to talk about a trick called sabering that looks like this. And I really want to say this, not even a trick, it's just a concept. You know, I like to talk about concepts on this show. This is something that you can use for all sorts of stuff. But basically, sabering is just kind of a setup for a mount. And it starts from a trapeze, and it takes you to something that looks like this. From here, you can get into branding, you can get into all sorts of stuff. Okay, like I said, sabering is pretty much a dismount from a trapeze. So you're gonna start on a trapeze, and then you're gonna take your throw hand pointer finger, put it on this side. So I go behind the string with my throw hand, I put my pointer finger here, I bring it back, and I do that. And if you saw, the yo-yo will basically reject off the string or just kind of climb off the string. So again, trapeze, pointer finger goes on this side from behind, points forward, and then if you watch the yo-yo and the string, you'll see that it comes off. And that's basically sabering. Now, to make this a little easier and a little more stylish, I don't usually do this so slow. What I like to do when I'm doing sabering is kind of a quick left to right motion, kind of like a skin the cat kind of motion, where you go left to right and the yo-yo hops off. And oftentimes the yo-yo will have some momentum to it, so it'll kind of be there. One more note about sabering. I noticed that when I do it, you can do it just like this, but oftentimes I will bring my right hand in and just kind of use my pinky to just kind of curl that string. What that does is that makes that gap even bigger. So you can really do sabering either way without your pointer finger, just kind of going left and right, or you can do it like I did. Pointer finger or pinky goes in, and then I wrap down. So I'm kind of like this. And now when I do it, I'm going to have a much bigger area for the string to come off of. Okay, I'm hoping sabering makes sense because I think it's time to get into a trick. This is the first trick we're going to learn, and it's actually the first trick I kind of made up from the sabering mount. Now, with the exception of the pony fart at the end, I think all of that trick is totally beginner intermediate friendly. We're actually going to kind of work our way from easier to more difficult tricks. So regardless of how this trick might look to you, hopefully it looks easy because I think it is actually pretty easy. It starts off with that sabering. And you'll notice I had my pinky in that time to really kind of make this area as big as possible. And what I'm going to do from here is sort of a branding without a mount. Branding is this trick. You see how it goes around and I catch it? Well, what we're going to do is basically sabering, and then I'm going to do that same exact move and just go around the yo-yo. So all I did was my throw hand, my left hand lets go of the whip of the tail here, right here, and my alternate hand, my throw hand, is going to do a circle around the yo-yo. So I kind of give the yo-yo a little tiny hop. I go under and around, and then I catch that tail back on my hand. If you watch the branding video I did a while ago, you'll actually recognize this as something similar to the Brent, which looks like this. So what we're doing is sort of a cross between the Brent and branding. We're doing an unmounted 1.5 whip. From here, you are going to mount the yo-yo back to the left, back onto the string. But the way I like to do that is by throwing and letting go. So you're here. So when I do this mount, the yo-yo just kind of naturally wants to swing counterclockwise around my throw hand. I keep my left hand pointing forward, and what I want to do is let the yo-yo go around my throw hand, land on top of my free hand, and bounce and go back out. So all I'm doing is just redirecting the string. I'm just basically boop, boop. You can do that real slow if you want. Let it hit there, or you can hit all the strings. But yeah, I hit those front two strings, hit, and then go back around, and then I undercut. This takes me out. So all I did was I went around, bounced, and then I just undercut. My finger goes into the string and goes under, taking the yo-yo off the string. And from here I'm going to do a pony fart, which is the hardest part of this trick. You just go to the right and try to let go and let that string hook around on it. So that pony fart at the end, you could just kind of practice that from trapeze and just put your pointer finger in. Again, notice I've got these fingers. This really helps me a lot, keeping these fingers in there. I don't even know I'm doing it unless I really kind of like study what I'm doing. But these fingers going in means that I can really keep these strings separate. So that undercut is a lot easier to do. The pony fart is a lot easier to do. So, you know, when you're in this position, I recommend getting that pinky in. And what that's going to do is just give you wider area for you to undercut. And then when I go over here and I do the pony fart, I want the yo-yo to land on this string. You can see where that pinky is really kind of helping me keep these areas nice and big. So if you want to do sabering and pony fart's too hard for you, I'm not trying to scare you away from pony farts because I think they're awesome, but if you think they're too hard, skip that part. Sabering for you, the basic sabering combo would just look like this. Whatever you want to do there. You can end it however you want. Okay, that's the basic sabering combo. Now I'm going to show you a really fun whip that sabering sets you up for. It looks like this. Okay, let's talk about that whip. So basically what we're doing is using sabering just to set up this hook. And from here I'm going to do kind of a circular direction. That first part, you go off, and now you want to catch the string, the yo-yo on both strings. So my right hand, my throw hand goes over my left hand. So I'm just off, and then I just go to the left and catch. And from here, I'm just going to swing to my left, and you see that kind of whip happens. The whip wants to kind of happen on its own. Land it on both strings. So I'm going to do this whip, and this goes around, and I want to whip here. I want this to be, this string near my pinky, to be the one that lands on the back of the yo-yo. Like that. Now when you do this whip, you are going to have this little twist here. Like you can see it right here, this twist. You could untwist, but you really don't want to. What I do is pick up this forward string. This is the one going straight to the yo-yo, to the axle. So this finger's pointing towards me, and I grab this string, and now I'm just going to bring my throw hand back and let this string come off. So now I'm just kind of like holding on to what looks like a sailboat sail. And now I want this to land on the front of the yo-yo. Then I take my pointer finger, I hook here, and I do kind of a Bermuda triangle. Now the whip, I think, is the fun part of this sabering trick. You can do that to get into all sorts of other things too. The outro that I'm doing, I'm not sure whose outro that is. I think it's Tunnels are the name of those, but that's something else. Hopefully someone in the description or in the comments below can describe what this part is, because I know I've seen this before. It's a folding or tunnels or something. Super handy resource to have. Maybe we'll talk about it more in another episode, but one more time. Whip. Pick up. Drop in front. Finger goes here. Kind of like rock the baby. And I just let everything fall off. Okay, let's talk about some binds you can do from sabering. Oftentimes you'll end up, wherever you are, you'll end up on a trapeze, at which point you could throw in a Sabering combo, any of these moves, or you can end with a Sabering inspired bind. I'll show you one of my favorites here. It looks like this. All right, let's break that down. So this one is Sabering inspired. One thing though, I'm going to pinch with my left hand because I don't want both of the strings to move. So I'm going to pinch while I do that, and you'll see what's left is this loop that just stays hanging there. Now what I want to do, when that comes off, I want that loop to touch the back of the yo-yo, and then I curl it back in front. Like that. So now, if I wanted to, I could just bind. But what I want you to notice when I'm doing that, when I break it down, I'm not putting my hand right next to here. I'm actually starting kind of in the middle of the string, because that's all I need for that little loop. And you know, I kind of really overdo it when I break it down. I kind of like, you can kind of see me moving that loop. But what I really like to do is use the momentum of the yo-yo. Do you see that? You see how it caught on there? It's going to be kind of like a little two-step process. And I'm pulling and manipulating with my left hand, which again is still pinching. So the cool thing about that pinch is, you know, it really holds that shape there for that little hook that you need on the side. Okay, one more Sabering bind. It's going to look a lot like that whip from before, but this time we're just going to land in kind of a backside trapeze. So here you are going to mount. I'm going to go around, and I'm just catching like that. It's going to be a trapeze with my free hand on top over my throw hand wrist, and then I just pinch and bind. So I'm going to go here, and then I just take my hand out kind of and just catch here. That's a fancy setup, but really all that's happening is I'm just sort of taking everything out and then catching on a trapeze. Okay, couple more sabering ideas. I'm just going to throw these out. These aren't tutorials, but one thing you'll notice when you do sabering, you're set up nicely for a 1.5, which sets you up for branding. So branding, traditionally, you want both of these strings on top of your pointer finger, so you can do that whip and then end up in a normal position. Well, it turns out when you do sabering, you can do that. That's an element called sabering. It's something you can throw into all of your routines, into your combos. If you come up with something cool with it and you happen to be on Instagram, use hashtag PopCast Yo-Yo, PopCast Yo-Yo. That way we can kind of see what each other's doing. I can see what you're working on. And I just honestly love sharing these ideas and then seeing what people come up with them. So, you know, use that hashtag if you feel like it. Whatever. Now let's talk to the Freshly Dirty crew about Mod 44. I'm here with Alex Morton and Arthur Foley from Freshly Dirty, who have this insanely cool logo and artwork, to talk about Mod 44, which is this thing.
So really, this yo-yo, when we started the concept for it, it was not modular at all. So we really had this idea of what would it be like to take some inspiration from the skateboarding world and grind tricks, which are so essential to that art form, and you know, how can we like turn that into kind of a new format for yo-yoing. So we had this idea to put a groove on the rim of one of these ball bearing wooden yo-yos, and then from that idea we said, okay, well, let's do a metal prototype of this. Let's take it a step further. And as we were messing with the design a little bit, we came across, okay, well, what if this rim it's kind of gimmicky, you know, you can get your string caught in it if you're not trying to do a trick with it. So what if we do a prototype that has a removable part on the outside, which creates this little groove to do a grind trick on. But then when you don't want to do that, you can pop off this extra rim and have a slimline responsive metal yo-yo. And then so from there, we had that prototype, and I was at Georgia Tech at the time, which has access to some 3D printers on campus. And I was able to print some components, like extra rims with the printer there, and kind of mess with this O-ring type design. And then from that, we decided to go like full on with the modular and bring the base size of the yo-yo down a little bit. So you'll notice this prototype is much larger, but you don't have as much freedom with the shape of the actual yo-yo. And so then we brought the diameter down and created much larger rims for it. And then this was a design we were really happy with, and decided to kind of flesh out that and create 3 rims that we thought were all equally high performing, and made that as our kind of base offering for the Mod 44.
What's kind of the coolest thing you've seen with 3D printing and the Mod 44 so far?
So right now it's really been limited to just our team. So as the release is coming up, it's actually on January 29th, which will be in the rearview mirror by the time this airs. But we've got the files that are up for free on our website, freshlydirty.com. But just from the experimenting that we've done, we've come up with all sorts of stuff, really trying to mess with some flat cap designs. That's something I think has a lot of promise, as well as different materials. So if you have, any experience with 3D printing, PLA is kind of the base starter material to use, but there are some other materials that are flexible that are available widely. So like this is called TPU, and
I
this rim
love
is
it.
squishy. So yeah, that's even closer to the old Henry's Viper stuff.
Alex, I haven't taken my yo-yo apart yet. I've seen you kind of do it while we were chatting. Walk me through what the process is here.
Yeah, so the easiest thing to get these rims off is using your two flangeable devices that you were gifted with. Grab a friend, grab some tools. Don't grab any hard tools like a wrench, so that way not to damage the hub. But find a soft surface to do this on, and you would be putting your two innermost thumbs inside. It's kind of hard for me to describe. Inside here, and then kind of pulling back. You could do with one thumb and then pulling it off, kind of twisting it and popping it off.
So that's just an excerpt with the Freshly Dirty crew where we talk about the Mod 44. If you want to see my whole interview with them, just about how they got started and all that stuff, check out my YouTube channel. You'll see the whole video there. I guess that's it. Thanks for watching this episode of PopCast. Remember to go to patreon.com/docpop and leave a comment on the video that you're watching on this video on Patreon. Go to Patreon, find the post with this video, leave a comment of any sort, and you'll be entered to win this Mod 44. So remember to do that. You can help sponsor the show while you're there. I really appreciate it. You can leave constructive criticism. I like that. Constructive part. Yeah, thanks for watching. You can follow me at DocPop on Instagram. I did a TikTok. Okay, we'll see you later. I did a TikTok.